Carlos talks about a label that he wishes he never had. George Russell is in an interesting position after his recent form against Lewis Hamilton, and Alpine is looking for a better teammate for Gasly after Ocon fallout. Do consider subscribing to the channel. Let's get straight into the latest F1 news. Damon Hill, the 1996 world champion, believes George Russell will stop over-trying when Mercedes re-emerge as a regular fixture at the front of the F1 2024 field. Russell came in for criticism after an error-ridden performance at last weekend's Canadian Grand Prix, where he could only manage third in changeable conditions after claiming his second F1 pole position. Despite securing Mercedes' first podium finish of the F1 2024 season, Russell cut a downbeat figure after the race as he admitted he felt he had let the team down a bit with his errors on track. Russell's arrival at Mercedes coincided with the team's fall from grace in the first year of F1's ground effect rules in 2022, with the Silver Arrows restricted to just a single win over the last 2.5 years after a record run of 8 consecutive constructors' titles from 2014. Appearing on the Sky F1 podcast, Hill has expressed sympathy for Russell for joining Mercedes at a bad time, having made a great first impression with the team while standing in for an unwell Lewis Hamilton at the 2020 Sakir Grand Prix. Hill said, "We sit here, we're talking about him, and it's almost like a competition to do a self-portrait with this game because you've got the people who are talking about it and creating an impression and trying to describe the driver and his strengths and weaknesses. And then there's a driver who has what he says out of the car and the way he behaves and how professional they are. That's another side. But then when it comes down to it, what they do on the track is the ultimate deciding factor. That's the thing I like about Formula One. They say, when the flag drops, the BS stops. We can talk all day about people and whether they've got the right this, that, or the other, but once it comes down to what happens on the track, then we find the truth about a person. Don't forget, Russell was the Ollie Behrman of his generation a few years ago when he got his break in the Mercedes when he subbed for Lewis. He had a fantastic debut. Everyone was going crazy over his performance. Unfortunately for them, Mercedes dropped the ball in effect with the new regulation changes, and he's been having to slug it out in a difficult car. But very rarely has he been massively overshadowed by Lewis, and now he seems to have got the upper hand. It may be because he's the guy staying and Lewis is off to Ferrari. Some very interesting comments I thought from Lewis saying he wasn't very happy with his performance over the weekend, so he's admitting at least that he's not putting in his best for whatever reason. But George can do it. They've only just resurfaced and got to the front of the pack, and maybe it was all a bit desperate. It was got a little bit of, I've got pole position, I want to win this race more than anything. Maybe he's over-trying a bit. And if Mercedes get bit more performance and start to qualify regularly on the front row, then it will start coming to him a bit. Russell emerged as a future F1 star with success in the junior categories, famously beating McLaren driver Lando Norris to the F2 title in 2018. With Norris and Ferrari star Charles Leclerc winning in Miami and Monaco respectively over recent weeks, Hill's fellow pundit Naomi Schiff fears Russell has been overshadowed by his peers after starting his career with 3 years at Williams. And she claimed Russell would be perceived very differently if he joined Mercedes at their title-winning peak. She added, "It's slightly unfortunate for George because he did win an F2 and beat most of those drivers. It was a long time ago, but unfortunately he didn't get the drive with a team that was going to give him the opportunity to shine immediately, so he spent many years at Williams overshadowed. While there were always whispers of his talent, it's only now that he's come to Mercedes that he's got any chance. Alpine are not looking for friends with their F1 2025 driver lineup, with the team seeking professional drivers who can work together for the good of the team. While it is known that Alpine are searching for a new driver for next season, having announced Esteban Ocon's departure, they could in fact need two, as Pierre Gasly has yet to be locked into a new deal. Although Alpine World Endurance Championship driver and Mercedes reserve Mick Schumacher has been linked to the seat, it's Jack Doohan who is rumored to be the leading contender to replace Ocon. The 21-year-old currently serves as Alpine's reserve driver. Zhou Guanyu, who could be on his way out of Sauber, has also thrown his name into the hat. But while Alpine team boss Bruno Famin refused to touch on the names on Alpine's shortlist, he has set out his criteria. "I think the relationship doesn't matter. The professionalism matters. We need professional drivers," Famin told Sky F1. "They need to work together. It's part of the job to be able to work with his teammate to get the best for the team." His comments were made in the wake of Alpine's most recent crash between Ocon and Gasly, with the two colliding on the opening lap of the Monaco Grand Prix. That Sunday, Ocon made an ill-judged lunge on his teammate into Portier, with his A524 suffering race-ending damage while Gasly was left with a puncture. As to be expected, that led to serious conversations about teammate etiquette. Talking directly to them. "I think when we have the beginning of a problem, let's talk, the three of us," Famine said. "Speak clearly on what is good, what is not good for the team and for the drivers. Speaking frankly and directly, I think it makes it easier for everybody." He, though, was questioned about a report that Alpine had already had that conversation with Ocon prior to Monaco, with Famine rumored to have reiterated his stance to Ocon on the grid. He denied that, but did clarify that the team always speaks with the drivers and together in a pre-race briefing. "I never speak to the drivers in one-to-one for this kind of thing," he said of the grid chat rumor. "When we have race instruction, we all speak all together to make sure everybody has the same information, that everybody listens to the same information at the same time. The instructions were clear before the race in Monaco, like it was clear before the race before it the previous one. It was very clear. I think it was quite right to be upset. For the team, it was very bad. Without the red flag, we would have been clear last because we would have had to stop for the puncture. It was a very bad thing." As for Ocon, he's been linked to a move to Haas, with team boss Ayao Komatsu saying he is a serious consideration in what could be an all-new lineup for the American team alongside Oliver Behrman. Gasly is expected to remain at Alpine. Carlos Sainz fears he may never escape the accusation that he is only in F1 because of his famous father, despite being signed by the likes of Red Bull and Ferrari over the course of his career. Sainz has established himself as one of the leading names in F1 since arriving on the grid with the RB, then Toro Rosso team in 2015, as a product of Red Bull's illustrious junior academy. Having been overlooked for a promotion to Red Bull's senior team in favor of Max Verstappen in 2016, Sainz took the brave step to part ways with the energy drinks brand, racing for Renault and McLaren before being chosen as four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel's replacement at Ferrari for 2021. Despite claiming a race victory in 3 of his 4 seasons with Ferrari, Sainz was informed ahead of the F1 2024 campaign that his contract will not be extended beyond this year, as the Scuderia confirmed the signing of 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton from Mercedes. Sainz remains without a confirmed seat for the F1 2025 season, with the 29-year-old heavily linked with Audi, Sauber, and Williams over recent months. The 3-time Grand Prix winner is the son of Carlos Sainz Sr., the legendary rally driver who won 2 World Rally Championship titles and claimed his 4th victory in the historic Dakar Rally event, age 61, in January this year. Appearing on the Nude Project podcast, Sainz Jr. explains that having a famous father has come with both positives and negatives, with his fellow competitors targeting him during his junior career before Sainz Sr. told him to either bite or get bitten in a frank discussion. And he fears that he will never fully shake the perception that he is only in F1 because of his background, despite carving out opportunities in F1 with manufacturers of the stature of Ferrari and Red Bull. He said, "There is a piece of advice that my father gave me, which changed my life a bit because I have always been a bit of an innocent kid. When I was a kid, I was a bit naive. I thought that I was everybody's friend, that everybody liked me. And the motor racing world is a very tough world, very competitive. I arrived at the kart races when I was 12, 13 years old. I put on my helmet, and on the track everyone was going to give me hell. I don't know if it was because I was Carlos Sainz's son, but they wanted to beat me. In a way, I understand it, because at that age you try to stand out, and I imagine that their parents explained to them that I was Carlos Sainz's son, and if they beat me, it meant that you were very good, or that you could stand out. Then in every race they would hit me from behind, they would push me off the track. And one day, my father sat down and told me, 'Carlos, life is a bitch, and in this sport you either bite or you get bitten. And right now they're biting you. They're making life difficult for you. I know you're a good kid. You like being friends with everyone, playing football in the breaks with the others. But here you either bite or you get bitten. When you put on that helmet, make sure you're the one who bites.' From there, I said, 'You're going to shit yourself.' It took me a while to change the chip from being the good guy to saying, 'Well, if I have to push you off the track, I'm going to do it.' I had a bit of a complex because people looked at me more for being Carlos Sainz's son, and I was worried they'd say I was a dirty driver. You have a lot of little complexes because they look at you more, and you are always a bit more careful. But I said, fuck it, and I started to deliver. To be extremely honest, I think on a practical level, being the son of is an advantage. I have a father who luckily has done well financially. He had money to pay for my karting career. He has contacts to get some sponsorship when you're young, some help to cover the budget. He has the experience to give you all that advice. In practice, it's a great thing. After their recent F1 2024 struggles over the curbs and bumps, Ferrari driver Charles Leclerc believes Red Bull's strength will be more visible at this weekend's Spanish Grand Prix. A traditional circuit with its mix of high and low-speed corners, the Barcelona track is well known among the older drivers as it is used to be a venue for pre-season testing. Dubbed an all-rounder circuit, it has often been said that if a car goes well at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, it will perform at most tracks. Demanding of a car's aerodynamic qualities, 1996 world champion Damon Hill went as far as to call the Spanish track a wind tunnel and the ultimate test for a Formula One car. It has Leclerc worried that Red Bull could once again stamp their mark as Formula One's most dominant car. I feel like the strength of Red Bull will be more visible on a track like Barcelona, said the Ferrari driver. But let's wait and see. Behind Red Bull, I think we'll all be pretty close. And close is what it has been in recent weeks with Ferrari and McLaren winning races, while in Canada, Mercedes grabbed their first podium of the championship. It's good for Formula One, added the Monegasque driver. We still have some work to do. We need to be on it and maximize all the points. And it's not just Ferrari who expect Red Bull to excel in Spain. The track's layout does not include many high curbs, which have been Red Bull's Achilles heel of late, with Oscar Piastri saying, I think Red Bull will probably be a bit stronger than they have been. He is, however, hoping McLaren will be in the mix. I think we can still be confident, definitely, said Piastri. I wouldn't say we're weak in high speed, it's just that others probably caught up a little bit, so we'll see. George Russell also warned that the Barcelona circuit should suit the RB20 better. It's no secret they've struggled a bit with their car these last 3 races, yet they've still won 2 of the last 3, he said. So I expect them to probably take a small step when we go back to the European races on more conventional circuits. We need to see how their performance turns out in Barcelona. But this pace increase that we've seen from us this weekend, it hasn't been a surprise to us because all the numbers back at the factory told us we're going to be finding a big chunk of performance with these upgrades. So Barcelona is going to be interesting for everybody, but I'm confident we can be in the fight. Kevin Magnussen admits there is a chance he'll be shuffled out of Formula One at the end of this season, with rumors Haas will embrace an all-new lineup. While it is already clear Haas needs one new driver for next season, after Nico Hülkenberg signed a multi-year deal with Sauber, F1's rumor mill claims Magnussen could also be out. The Dane, who is knocking on the door of a race ban having accrued 10 penalty points on his license, is out of contract at the end of this season, and Haas team boss Ayao Komatsu has told the media he is seriously considering other drivers. Wanting a mix of youth and experience, Haas is tipped to sign Oliver Bearman to tick the first box, while Esteban Ocon is a serious contender for the second. Asked about Ocon earlier this month, the team boss said, I think the mixture of good youth and then experience to give us the reference would be a pretty exciting combination. I'm talking with several of the current F1 drivers, experienced guys, as well as some of the young drivers, F1 drivers. He, Ocon, is definitely one of the several I'm considering seriously. Should Ocon sign for the American team, it would not only mean the end of Magnussen's 3-year stint with Haas, it would also likely be the end of his Formula One career. He is, however, hoping to avoid the latter, having already been sidelined once when Haas dropped him after the 2020 season before bringing him back in 2022. There is a chance that will happen, the 31-year-old said in Canada. I want to be in Formula One. That's what my mind is set on at the moment. Until that's not a possibility anymore, I'll keep focused on that. Whatever happens, I'll deal with that at that stage. The last time the Dane was sidelined, he raced for Chip Ganassi Racing in the IMSA Sports Car Championship Series. Magnussen is not letting the speculation about his future get to him, saying he's remaining positive and will continue to give Haas his best. I think the most important thing in tough times is to keep positive, keep calm, he said. In the past, certainly when I was younger, I would maybe get more stressed about things, and you feel the pressure more. But now I'm able to put it aside a little bit, just get in the car and drive to the best of my ability. Scoring a single point this season, although twice playing a starring role in Nico Hülkenberg's points-paying results, Magnussen admits it's been a tough year. Every time you don't get the result you want, you have to look at if there is anything I could have done differently. I always try to do that. We try and do that as a team. You could have always done something different and the outcome would have been different, but in the circumstances that we had available almost all the times this year, it looked like we were doing the right thing. So it's easy to get frustrated about those things, but at the same time, you just need to keep your head cool. We can't control cars coming out on weird timing. With those things, you've just got to move on. Thanks for watching the video, everyone. See you in the next one.